Hey, look at this. FIFA considering some controversial new rules. They've been trying them out at under-19 teams. At least that's what the idea would be. Fans are furious with some of these proposals, shall we say. 30-minute halves. Game clock stops when the ball goes out of play. Unlimited subs. Throw-ins played with feet. And 5 minutes for suspensions for yellow cards, which is pretty much a sin bin. We recently saw the Real Madrid president, Florentino Perez, saying that there could be some changes to the game, the likes of 30-minute halves, which is a bit of a surprise, really, when you see the numbers that were watching Euro 2020 across the world. I don't think they were too upset with the game being 2 45-minute halves. But I'd be interested to know what you guys think about this. Shaka, you've seen some of these proposals before.
Yes, I have, and there's nothing for fans to get upset about. Firstly, IFAB is a very conservative group. They don't introduce laws lightly because they feel that once they do, it's harder to undo, as you see other sports, happens in other sports. But that being said, when I served on one of the advisory panels, the sin bins and kicking throw-ins were being trialed, and it's something that is part of the process. So any member association can propose these law changes that they think will benefit the game. The IFAB board has a look at all of them and decides which may be worthy of further investigation. They do that in youth tournaments, and then look at the data to see what comes out and see if it really has the desired effect, and more to the point, does it impact negatively on how the game is today. So it's nothing to get all upset and riled up about. It's just part of a very usual and often ongoing process. I have no idea what that data looked like. As I said, it started when I was there. I'll assume it ended after I did. So I don't know what came of it. That being said, again, it is a conservative organization. It has to have overwhelming evidence that it benefits the game.
Nedum, what do you hate among that among the list? Yeah.
The kick-in situation, I'll be honest, I don't love that. The rolling substitution situation, I don't love that. And also the yellow card one. Because, I thought I was a clean player when I did play. So sometimes, you'd be given a yellow card which maybe you didn't deserve. And if that's going to be at the cost of your team, I think you'd be very, very wary about going into any sort of tackles or anything at all. But, it's interesting to hear what Shaka's saying there, because, this is part of the process. This is what FIFA do. Like, most of them will never come to the forefront, and they'll never be taken to IFAB, and they'll never come into the game. So I think as fans, we just need to maybe calm down a little bit. But then, interestingly, the only one that caught my eye in a positive manner would be the 30-minute halves one, because in the games that I was playing throughout my career, when you look at the amount of time the ball's in play, it tends to only be for an hour anyway. So that could be an interesting way in terms of stopping time wasting. But again, it's unlikely any of those things will ever make it to the the professional ranks, because ultimately, we hold our game very, very dearly, do we not?
Yeah, and we're all scared of change, obviously. What about the game clock stopping when the ball goes out of play, Shaka? I don't think that's too bad, is it?
No, it's not. And I have to say, we had this discussion a few years ago, and I was dead set against it. I was adamant that it didn't make a whole lot of change. Well, it didn't change the game significantly enough to warrant that kind of a change being implemented. But I will admit, in speaking with referees, most recently Mark Clattenburg was in our studios talking about he feels that would benefit. I think despite how much you criticize referees, despite all the negative things we say to them when we do have them in our studios, they have a real grasp of the flow of the game, both in terms of how they manage the games and manage fouls, etc., and in this situation how teams manage the clocks, and so I take their input very seriously. So the footballer in me says no real need to change from what it is right now, but just listening to referees and people who control games, my mind is changing, and quickly.
All right, I bet you didn't expect a maths equation on today's show. Nedum, if it were to be a 5-minute suspension, 5 minutes in the sin bin for every yellow card, how long do you think you would have spent in the sin bin in your career?
Oh, wow. Well. Well, let's be fair. I would have adapted, Kay. I would have adapted. I would have decided to be the player that doesn't tackle anybody anymore, and I would have just stayed on the field and avoided as many people as possible. So the answer would be 5 minutes, and that's all I'd need to learn my lesson, Kay.
Shaka, what about you?
Well, I've only been sent off twice in my career. I can probably think of another 2 or 3 times where I deserve to be sent off, but being a goalkeeper, you can get away with next to murder, in all honesty. So I'm going to go for 25 minutes in 15 years of playing football. That's not too bad an average.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.